What's up, guys? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of Potomac. This is season 9, episode 9. And what I will say is the gotcha moment Mia thought she had on Giselle, it flopped. Like the correlation or the dots she was trying to connect, girl, they went right past each other. And it looks like mediation ain't worked for nobody. But let's get into this review. So y'all know sometimes before we get into the review, we get a little spicy just a little bit. And I just got 3 things I want to talk to y'all today about. One is a blind item. We got another Mia Instagram post. And the last one is an update on Miss Karen and this DUI case because it's not looking good for her. So first up, let's talk about this blind item. So TV Deets posted this blind item on their website and then posted it on Twitter on November the 30th. And it got a lot of people talking. A lot of people felt like the blind item was about Stacey or either Jazzy, but more people were saying that they feel like it was about Stacey. The reason why people felt like the blind item had anything to do with the Potomac girls is because a few days prior to them making this tweet about this blind item, TV Deets posted another tweet that was 4 stills of a scene that we didn't get to see at Wendy's birthday party. And they said this: we need to be asking Bravo why all of this was cut out from Sunday's Potomac episode, #RHOP. And in it, you see Giselle, Jacqueline, Jazzy, Stacey, and Karen. And in one still, it looks like they're looking at a menu. And another one, it looks like there's like a serious conversation happening with Giselle, Kiarna, Amia, and Karen. So everyone's like, maybe this is about Stacey. I feel like it's about Jazzy, but y'all let me know how y'all feel down in the comments below. But it starts off like this: edited out, related to the leak. So they had a previous blind item that was called The Leak. I didn't read that, but it's a part of the screenshot, so I'm gonna read it for you so you get all of it. So it starts off like this: you'll want to grab some milk and cookies for this blind item because it's a good one. While viewers seem to be responding well to this new Real Housewife, what is being shown by the network is not exactly the whole truth of what's happening during filming. When getting to know the women at the beginning of the season, the newbie was accused of various inconsistencies. Not only did she blame one of her co-stars for leaking the news of her casting and told the network just as much when they asked about it, but after a big confrontation ensued, it was actually the newbie that ended up being exposed as the responsible party. They go on to say, fast forward to a big event thrown by a third co-star, and the newbie was exposed as a liar even further. Receipts, proof, timeline, screenshots, the tea was spilled. Unfortunately for the viewers, however, all of this has been cut out, and word on the street from the inside the network is that the newbie is to blame, reportedly begging for the embarrassing moment to be cut, and that is how the cookie crumbles. Now, I at first was agreeing with everybody else saying like maybe this is about Stacey, and the reason why is because the initial part of this blind item says that the viewers are responding well to her, but then when I thought about it, I was like maybe this might be about Jazzy, because Jazzy was supposed to be a full-time flute holder, but then something happened during filming where they switched it and gave her flute to Kiarna. That's why some people are like, we're not seeing a lot of Kiarna, but she's full-time, and that's because in the beginning she was filming as a friend of. So what we're getting of her is friend of scenes, you know? And so I'm wondering, is this the reason why they might have said, you know what, girl, if you want this edited out, then sis, we snatching the flute. But that's just how my mind is going. Remember, it's a blind item, so it's a rumor with no evidence. But let me know down below who y'all think this is about. Let's talk about Mia. So like I said, Mia with another IG post. So she posted this the other day, and it had a slideshow of Gordon and Ink actually like getting along, looking like father and son friends. And then she actually posted a picture of her first baby daddy, her ex-husband, her oldest son's child's father, who's actually cute, by the way. So I said, you went from him to Gordon to Ink. What happened? What happened? But This is what Mia has to say. She said, "My children deserve the world, and that's exactly what we are giving them. The real is Gordon never once was upset with Ink or my eldest son's father ever. Gordon and my ex-husband have been good friends for over a decade with mutual respect, family gathering, dinners, Christmas mornings, and all. When I was divorcing my ex, he sat down with Gordon, just the two of them as a man, and got to know him, as he should for our son, who is grown to be an outstanding young man, deeply rooted in his faith and living by strong moral values. Gordon, being on the receiving end, was fully capable of doing the same." But the thing about it is, Mia, none of them kids is Ink's. It was the right thing for your ex-husband to sit down with Gordon, because Gordon was about to be in that child's life consistently because you were marrying him, and that is that man's son. Ink don't have no claim to anything in that household other than you. So what are you talking about? So then she goes on to say, Gordon and Ink have spent holidays together. Ink has helped Gordon move. They have sat down and discussed business together, and we attended basketball games together, theme parks, family dinners together. Never once shown anything but love and respect. While I certainly have compassion for Gordon and understand it's not easy, for the sake of our children who look up to these men who value, respect, and adore our family dynamic, the truth must remain. Gordon was perfectly fine with almost an entire year of separation until filming, leaving me to navigate an instant switch up. And here's the thing, Mia. I don't negate that he probably was fine with that, but were you filming? It's one thing to have this harmonious co-parenting situation when the cameras are down. It's another thing to have somebody on TV looking like a simp, a fool, and a loser by just readily accepting the man that you had an affair with on them. Like, I don't think your oldest child's father would have been okay with filming with Gordon and y'all are getting a divorce. Like, you say you have compassion, but the thinking cap's not on. That man told you last episode, like, hey, I'm cool when we together. I'm cordial. I'm cool when we together with the kids, but I'm not filming with y'all. You keep bringing his name up and you keep wanting to film all three of y'all together, and that's disrespectful, because if he told you I don't want to do that, then respect it. You could have just shown you and Ink together. We don't need to know about Gordon like that. But you want us to know about it because you want to present this certain like facade to us that we can see through. Girl, stupid, Aaron. So this was posted by In Touch today, and it says, In Touch reports a judge has shut down Karen Huger's efforts to suppress evidence or statements she made to police and body cam footage of her DUI. It goes on to say a judge shut down Real Housewives of Potomac Karen's plea not to allow statements she made to police and body cam footage of her DUI arrest from being used as evidence in Touch, an exclusive report. According to the court documents obtained by In Touch, a Maryland judge denied Karen's motion seeking to suppress certain evidence. Back in March, Karen, 61, was involved in a car accident while driving her 2017 Maserati. She was the only person in the car when it struck a median and a street sign at the intersection before slamming into a tree. Police arrested Karen due to them believing she was intoxicated at the time of the crash. Prosecutors charged Karen with driving under the influence, negligence, driving a vehicle in careless and imprudent manner, endangering property, life, and persons, and various other accounts. As In Touch for report, Karen claimed after her crash she spoke to Officer Kelly Baxter and Sergeant Brent Trahan. The reality star says she was checked out by a medical professional but refused further treatment. Her husband, Raymond Huger, showed up at the scene. Karen claimed one of the officers grabbed her by the arm after she was finished at the ambulance. She said she told her she was not free to leave. Karen said the officer started to interrogate her but did not read her Miranda rights. She argued that any statements she made to the police were the result of an illegal interrogation and should be suppressed. The RHOP star demands that the evidence, including the body cam footage of her be taken, of her talking to the police, not be allowed in court. She also asked for the entire case to be dismissed. The prosecutor scoffed at Karen's request. At the request hearing, the judge sided with prosecutors after reviewing the body cam footage. He noted that the two police separately and purposely asked Karen to tell them what happened. They asked her questions like, where have you been? Where was you coming from? And how did the accident take place? Karen wasn't forthcoming with the answer. Karen's husband arrived on the scene soon after the police arrived and was by her side until she was arrested. The judge has concluded that Karen was not taken into custody for purpose of Miranda, and consequently, all statements made by Karen until the police formally announced that she was under arrest and arrested are admissible against her at the trial. Karen released a statement after the accident. She said, thank you. Yeah, I'm not reading all of that. We already know. She talked about Mother's Day and everything hitting her like a tsunami. Oh, Karen, you might have should have just took what they was going to give you in the beginning, because I'm telling you, we know the courts don't like when people play with them, especially the people that look like us. And girl, they might want to give you a harsher sentence. Because if you don't know, her 2-day jury trial is this month in December. And I'm just like, Karen, like, I hope it's not bad. I really do hope like the outcome is not like severe for her. Like, I hope she doesn't have to face jail time, because it definitely feels like Karen is remorseful. She may be remorseful because she got caught, but it definitely feels like she is realizing how serious this situation is. She got lucky nobody else got harmed. But I'm like, if Shannon Bedore can just have a breathalyzer in her car and do community service at her church, then, and she almost ran her car into somebody's house, hopefully Karen can do something the same. Like maybe community service. I don't know. They might make her go to like an AA program or rehab again, or I don't know, because I don't want to see the grand dame in prison. I don't want to see her have to serve like 30 days in jail. I can't. But if it happens, that's going to be wild. But like Wendy said, that she could either serve jail time, because I think she said Eddie told her that she could either serve jail time, get probation, or be on house arrest. As long as she's not in jail, I feel like any of these outcomes will be fine for me. But yeah, girl, it's not looking good, Karen. It's just not. But let's get into this review. So let's get into this episode. Now, if you're wondering why I have on a different shirt, it is because while I was recording in the other outfit, that my iPad died, and that's what I used to record. So here we are. All right, and it took way longer than I expected it to charge fully. Another thing, production, please don't ever show me Ashley singing again. Please. When I tell you, you could use Ashley's live vocals to torture somebody to get information out of, because the like second or third time you hear her sing, it gets worse. It sounds like a bat being strangled in her vocal cords. I can't do it. Okay? So don't do it again. Now, let's get into the episode. So it opens up where it left off, where we're still at Wendy's 40th birthday party, and pretty much Giselle and the rest of the ladies are confronting Mia. Mainly, this was brought on by Giselle and Ashley. So the rest of the ladies are just there to, listen, to gain some understanding. So Mia ends up being like, the fathers of my children can get along. So you hear Stacy being like, fathers? Girl, I thought Gordon was the father of your kids. And so I don't know who cleaned it up first, but somebody ended up being like, well, Mia's oldest son has a different dad. So then Mia cleaned it up being like, my oldest son has a different dad, and Gordon is the father of my other two kids. They even do the flashback to when we first met Mia back in 2021. So then Karen speaks up for Mia, being like, why is it an issue that Mia is posting, Gordon and Ink together online? Isn't that a good thing? They're getting along. Like, why is everyone like attacking or ganging up on Mia right now? And everyone at the table is like, we're not attacking her. We're not ganging up on her. You then have Ashley being like, the social media post just threw us off, because when you were at the GNA event, you were crying about how Gordon called you an adulterer, said that you had an abortion. Like, you were really upset. And Giselle chimes in and she was like, yeah, girl, we were consoling you. And then here you are online saying that everything's okay and that the co-parenting is going fine. So it's confusing. It's very much confusing. So then Jacqueline is like, can I speak? Let me speak. And I'm like, Jacqueline, you want to be included so bad, but then you don't know how to finesse a situation where it doesn't make you look thirsty. Because honestly, if you wanted to add commentary to this situation, all you had to do was walk around Mia. The camera angle would have changed, which would have gave you like the full view of everybody, and then speak. But you yelling, "Can I speak? Let me speak." It's like, okay, girl, calm down. So Jacqueline explains that she was there. And if you look at the clips that they showed you, well, showed us, like I'm saying, showed you like that they showed us of the Instagram post that Mia made. The person that is pouring shots for Gordon and Ink is PP, aka Patrick, aka Jacqueline's on again, off again lover slash baby daddy for the past 13 years. And then when you see the kids jumping into the pool, you see Jacqueline's kids jumping into the pool with Mia's kids and Ink's kids. So Jacqueline's like, I was there. Gordon was fine with everything for like the first 20 or 30 minutes while we were at the pool. And then the last like 5 or 10 minutes, he kind of threw a fit and was like, he's not okay with this and he doesn't like it. And so Jacqueline ends up saying, like, you guys don't understand, like, Mia is dealing with somebody that has mental, like, illness and all these issues. And I think Jacqueline thought that she was helping the situation, but she actually made it worse, because Jazzy did pose a good question where she was like, if you know y'all are not in a good space, then why are you acting like you are in a good space? Or why are you acting like he's in a good space with you? So then Wendy chimes in. And she's like, what I think Jacqueline was trying to say is that they're trying to keep up this like facade, like everything's okay, maybe for the children, but everything is not really okay. So then you have Mia in her confessional being like, I don't like that Giselle is bringing this up at a birthday party, no less. Like, she knows what's going on, and how dare she be so nitpicky about my situation and be all up in my business. And it's like, well, she wouldn't be in your business if you didn't present your business in such a way. Also, you asked them for like their support. You told them at the GNA event, like, I'm gonna really need to lean on my girls. I'm gonna really need to lean on you guys, because Gordon is just, he's manic, he's going crazy. And it's like, well, if you want these people's support, you need to be clear about what's going on so that they can support you in the correct way, and also don't have them supporting mess, you know? So then Kiarna speaks up, and Kiarna pretty much is like, I think what Mia is trying to say is that she's trying to keep everything cool, like, you know, be with Ink, figure out her situation with Gordon, and she knows right now that that's not really feasible, even though that's what she wants, and she's gonna have to find a different way, basically. So I think next thing you know, Wendy ends up being like, well, we're going to have to taper this because I'm about to get a citation from the mayor. And they're like, what do you mean a citation? And they're like, it's a citation. Stacy and everybody else was being loud and wrong because I Googled it, and it actually is a citation. Because I thought maybe she was saying it wrong too, but I was like, is it a citation? Is it not a citation? Let me see, because I took a screenshot. Yeah, it says a mayor's citation is a ceremonial document that recognizes a person, organization, or cause or event. Mayors issue citations to congratulate and recognize individuals and organizations for their achievement or contributions to the community. So she was right. They was trying to read Wendy being like, maybe she had too much to drink, but no, it's a citation. Because even Eddie was like, my wife's about to get a citation, and they was like, don't you mean proclamation? And he was like, well, let's go find out. And then I saw April Ryan. I said, not you knowing April Ryan. Like, my dad is all into politics. Like, his favorite TV series is West Wing. Like, he don't play about, like, he has we bought him a DVD set of West Wing, like, I want to say maybe 6 or 5 Christmases ago, and he religiously watches West Wing every single year. Over and over and over. Like, he picks a month where that's all he watching back to back. So, like, I'm very familiar with April Ryan, so I was actually, like, really excited to see her. So April Ryan actually gives Wendy the citation. We then see, and I feel like everybody was kind of being rude. Like they probably should have did the citation at the beginning of the party when people had Wendy's attention. But like you got Stacy and Ashley trying to have a conversation. Then other people were talking, and it was just like, can y'all just pay attention? So then Stacey and Ashley are talking about their mediations. They're both having mediation. I think Ashley's was on Monday and Stacey's is on Tuesday. And she's like, what are you expecting? And Stacey was like, I'm expecting him to be fair. And Ashley was like, no, Stacey was like, my husband's successful. He comes from a very prestigious German family, but we always said we wouldn't get nasty when we would get a divorce. So she was like, I really expect him to be fair. So Ashley is looking at Stacey like, girl, you really think he gonna be fair? Like you honestly believe this man gonna be fair? And Stacey kind of has this look like, yeah, I do. So they break apart. You have Ashley, I think underneath her breath, she calls Stacey delusional. And you see her rush over to where Karen and Giselle are, and she sits down with them and she's like, I really think that we need to speak to Stacey. Stacey has mediation around the time that I have mediation, and I think she would benefit from the wisdom that you guys gave me about my divorce with Michael, how y'all told me to proceed with my divorce. And so we then see Stacey trying to have a conversation with TJ. He's still in his feelings about her not spending time with him because she was trying to talk to him, but it gave very much like, girl, get away from me. I said, Stacey, if you don't stop running after that man. So we then see Giselle, Karen, Ashley and Stacey go inside the house. I think Giselle ends up asking Stacey like, hey, can you come in the house with us? So they sit down with her. And I think Giselle was like, so Ashley told us that you have mediation coming up and we just want to figure out like, how are you doing? And, Stacey is nervous, but she feels like her husband or her soon-to-be ex-husband will be fair because they both want this divorce, it seems. But it's kind of weird because in the beginning, it felt like Stacey didn't want to get a divorce, but now she's saying it's amicable. And I'm like, girl, I don't know about that. So Giselle ends up saying that you need to know where all the money is. She was like, that's how I came out good in my divorce, is because I knew where everything was going, how it was supposed to be paid, and all of that, okay? I knew where the money was going, okay? So that's why I'm okay. She also explains to Stacey that you need to write down like what you want out of the divorce for yourself and for your daughter, because honestly those are the only two people that matter in this divorce at this point. And Stacey's like, you guys, well, we said that like we weren't gonna be fighting like that. Like I feel like I know my husband. So then Karen made a good comment where she was like, didn't you say that you and your husband like drifted apart? And Stacey's like, well, yeah. So she was like, then you really don't know your husband. And then Giselle ends up being like, and also you know your husband now, you don't know your husband when it's money on the table and y'all splitting assets. So you might not be prepared for what's to come. So then I think Karen also said you need to stop flaunting your relationship in front of his face. Even if he has a relationship prior to you, you don't want to do anything that's going to make him want to fight with you. And then in the confessional, Karen ends up being like, I just think it's smart to close one chapter before you open another. We then see TJ and Ray having a conversation, and it irritated me because I was like, you were so mad talking about how you you were at the party by yourself, but you fine talking to Ray. This like your third or fourth time speaking to Ray. So you wasn't at the party by yourself. You could have had conversations. You was just being an ass. Okay, TJ. So, and he starts talking about like hosting, like how people host like parties or TV shows or things of that nature, and they get like $56,000 bonuses. I think ultimately that's what TJ wants, is to start having like hosting gigs. But I'm just like, you got to be likable for that. And you kind of a dick. Okay, your attitude don't seem too inviting, sir. So Stacey is just like, she's not worried about, like she said, I think she said this in her confessional where she was like, she's not really worried. She feels like she knows what she's prepared for. Like she appreciates the advice the ladies are giving her, but she was like, her situation is nothing like Ashley's. Really beautiful scene of Wendy thanking Eddie's sisters and their husbands for coming to the her birthday party and how she wants to mend fences and build a new foundation with them. And she introduced her kids to them. And it was a nice, like, they all said hello and everything. One of Eddie's sisters looks just like him, and I think she's the baby of the family, or Eddie is the baby of them. I'm not sure, but she does look like him. She's very pretty. And, she hugs Wendy. Wendy starts crying, and then the sister starts crying, and I start tearing up. And I was like, Wendy, keep your mama away. Because I feel like Wendy's mom might be the issue. But then if we meet Eddie's mom, and Eddie's mom acts just like Wendy's mom, then the moms are the problem. Okay, the moms are the problem. But I do hope that they're able to legit build a new foundation and build, because 13 years is a long time that they don't know, her children, and they don't know his sister's children. Family is important, and I know everyone's like, you can create your own family, but it's still whether it's blood or not, having people that you can rely on that are your blood or non-blood is important. So I do hope that they keep building that relationship. So then we get away from Wendy's party, and we get this scene of Grace and Giselle going to this ice cream shop that sells booze, and we find out that Grace is doing well at FAMU. Girl, she was eyeing the mess out of Giselle's ice cream, because I think Grace is only 19. So, she can't legally drink. But she kept looking at it you're going to have to give me some when these cameras wrap. But Giselle ends up asking Grace, so how was school? How do you feel you did your first year? And she said it was a roller coaster, but I'm good. We good. I found my footing. She also asked her about how she thinks her sisters are going to do, because they're going to 2 different schools. And I think Grace says she thinks that Adora is going to be the one that they need to check up on the second week of school, because I think Adora relies on Angel more than the other 2. So she was like, okay. And then Giselle just talks about how it's been pretty hard for her. Grace leaves, then her dad unfortunately passes away, and then now her 2 daughters, her last 2, are leaving. So now she truly is an empty nester, and she's just kind of if I could go back, I would go back. I didn't expect it to happen so quickly. And it does really seem like Giselle's dad was her rock. So she might just be feeling uneasy and floating around, So then she starts to talk about how the daughters, the 2 twins, Angel and Adora, were really there for Giselle. They were the one picking up the slack, making sure she was okay. And Grace ended up explaining to Giselle how when you called me about him passing away, I was reading a note that he gave me, and after you got off the phone with me, I kept reading the note. And it's weird how sometimes those things happen, because my grandma passed away 3 years ago, and yes, 3 years ago. Her birthday was on Thanksgiving. And I remember, I want to say a week or 2 weeks before she passed away, I was in my apartment doing something, and I heard her call me. But the way that she called me when I was younger, and it was so eerie, but comforting. And then 2 weeks later, we got the phone call. And so it's weird, because I remember other people, when I tell my friends about it, they're like, oh, girl, I got the same thing with my granddad. One of my friends actually saw her grandfather. She was down in the basement, putting things away or something, and she saw, his silhouette, and next thing you know, they got a phone call that he passed away. So it's just weird how people can, say goodbye to you before they leave. So Giselle is just she gonna have to figure out what she, to preoccupy her time. So then when I tell you, her daughters always be shading Giselle, because she was like, I think I'm gonna take up cooking class, and Grace was like, you need it. And Giselle's like, Grace, I can't cook. She was like, no, you can bake. And I believe that, because every time I see Giselle make cookies or anything sweet, it looks delicious, but we ain't never seen Giselle make food for them kids. What we have is of Ashley, and them kids sitting on the kitchen counter barefoot and all, just sticking their hands in everything. I can't. So Ashley is preparing for her mediation today, and she's stressed out because she doesn't really know what Michael's gonna throw at her. We find out that the kids are going to some summer camp, so she's rushing, trying to get them prepared. honestly, you could tell that Ashley does not like discipline her kids, or if she does do it, it's like half-hearted, because the way that they were like hitting her with the 3 balloon and the pillow, and clearly you could tell that she's like stressed or nervous about this mediation. I was like, honestly, you just like, if she had control, she could have just told her kids, mommy's not in the mood for it today, so please get it together. Grab your stuff, get in the car. Like, for real. That's why I know I'm not ready for kids, because I probably would have been like, if y'all don't stop, ain't nobody going to summer camp. Like, you're going to be stuck in this house. Okay? But I guess that's why I ain't got no kids. So we see her driving. You can tell that she's stressed out. She's like, everything good comes to me. The universe is on my side, while she's driving in the car. And she pulls up to the place. And I guess she's worried that Michael was going to see the cameras, because she ended up saying like, ooh, I hope he doesn't see y'all. So I guess it's the cameras. So we don't really know the outcome of that situation just yet. We then see Kiarna going down to Greg's job. They have showed us this scene like multiple times. They showed it to us in a flashback like twice, and now we actually get to see the scene. I don't know if Greg's mama really likes Kiarna, because the way she was looking her up and down, and then one of the employees was even giving her like a look like, why is she here? Like, she don't be here type energy. Then you had another employee end up asking her, when you gonna become a Diggs, because that's the last name of Greg. And Greg said, well, she can become a Diggs when she start acting right. And Kiarna makes a face like, you already knew what it was when you got with me. So we see Kiarna go into Greg's office, and she's like, so I still need to audition to become a Diggs. And like somebody said on BlueSky, if Kiarna stays on this show, this relationship got a 2-year shelf life, and she gonna move on. I think she still should, because it's kind of giving that Greg is like stifling her a little bit, because I don't think you should have to audition that much to get a ring. And what I mean by that, I'm not saying that you shouldn't bring anything to the relationship, but it shouldn't be like grueling process for you to get somebody to see the value in you. And it does seem like Greg is trying to make this girl jump through hoops, because maybe he hasn't resolved the issues from his previous divorce, how that went down. But I was just like, So she then brings up the fight situation that happened during season 8, and she was like, everything seems to be going well. She's actually doing a personal injury, I think that's what she called it, lawsuit against Deborah for hitting her in the face. And she said, everything seems to be going well. My lawyer told me to let him handle everything. And I'm wondering, do y'all think she gonna get some money? I feel like she probably will. Only because the police like filed the lawsuit against Deborah, I think criminally probably, because they said she assaulted her with a deadly weapon, which was that cup. And maybe if in the personal injury lawsuit, they could say like, girl, it was overkill. Like, there was no need for you to clock her in the face with that cup. Maybe. But Kiarna ends up saying that Greg kind of like pulled back a little bit after that fight. And I'm like, if he really wasn't there to like support you, now don't get me wrong, don't nobody want they like significant other fighting in the street, especially not in their 30s or 40s. But I also feel like there's a way that you could support somebody, and it doesn't seem like he's that supportive, kind of. And I could be reading too much into it, but based off of what we see in the super trailer, where she ends up telling Greg, like, sometimes I feel like you try to like dim my light or stifle me, and he said, well, stop acting crazy. And I was like, girl, it's not a good look. So I definitely agree with the person I saw on BlueSky that said that they give Kiarna and Greg's relationships 2 years, because she definitely could do an upgrade if she wanted to. So the next scene we have is of the ladies meeting at like this rooftop bar to go over the mediation. So you got Giselle and Karen get there first. I kind of like Giselle's flowery top. I just didn't like her like necklace. Then Ashley gets there. This hair that Ashley had on her head, keep it. I feel like this is the best we've ever seen Ashley's hair look. Okay, she had it on in a high ponytail, 2 cute little like strands here. I said, okay, Ashley, you're getting better. Keep that person. Then we see Wendy looking delicious in this purple outfit. Purple is one of my favorite colors, so I love this outfit. And Giselle was making a comment where she's like, Wendy, you got glasses, like shades for everything. And I said, that's like my mama. My mama got shades for every outfit. especially if she finds a pair that she likes. So while they're waiting, they order a charcuterie board. Giselle called it a charcuterie board. Then she called it a tashushi board. And then you got Ashley being like, a charcuterie board? I don't know if Giselle was doing that on purpose, or she couldn't say the word. But I was like, Giselle, no. So Stacy gets there and everyone's like, okay, girl, give us the tea, give us what went down. And so Stacy ends up admitting that she appreciates the conversation that she had with the ladies prior to going into mediation, because she actually went in mediation with her eyes open as to what was going down. And she said, honestly, y'all, it was a lot. She ends up explaining to them for the past 15 years, she ain't never had to pay a bill. Her relationship was very much traditional. The man takes care of everything financially. I guess she keep her check and spends it on herself, and the child and household things or whatever. But that's how they ran their relationship. And she said there was a lot of things I didn't know about. And you got Karen going girl, I told you. So she just ends up being there were accounts in my name that I didn't know was in my name. There was other financial stuff that I didn't know what was going on. And Wendy ends up speaking up where she says, this is an eye-opening conversation for me, because I don't know where, who pays my mortgage, or where the light bill, who pays the light bill, when we pay the light bill. I let Eddie handle all of that, and I take care of the kids. I said, girl, no ma'am. No, ma'am. You too smart for that. You are too smart for that. Now, let me tell you something. Would it be nice if I was with somebody that could pay for everything? Yes. I'd be so totally fine with it. But I would know where everything was. I keep telling you, girls, you can have the soft life, okay? But you got to be smart about it, okay? You have to be smart about it. You need to know where everything is going. Again, I always bring up that example that Shannon didn't know you had to pay water after she got a divorce from David. That was mind-boggling to me, that she did not know, water just doesn't come to the house, girl. You have to pay for it to be at the house. And I said, girl. So I just feel like everybody should know where things come from. I just do. And, some people felt like Wendy was lying. Even if she was lying, again, know how your bills get paid, know when they're supposed to get paid. Conversation continues. And we also got a new confessional of Stacy. Don't really like it. I think the top is really nice, but the makeup, I feel like, is throwing it off. It's too skin tony. And it kind of looks like cheap makeup. So it just it throws that look off, even though I think it's a pretty look. I feel like if she would have had the curly hair with this top, with that makeup, this would have probably ate for me, But Stacy just lets it be known, legit, her eyes are open, and now she realizes she's going to have a fight on her hands. She also explains they have other days of mediation, so that was just the first one. So then a table turns their attention to Ashley, and they're like, okay, girls, so how did yours go? And Ashley kind of makes the face where she's like, not the way I thought. And she basically says that, her lawyer told her that mediation could take all day. We could go in there at 10 a.m. and be done by 1 a.m. because they did everything all at once, versus what Stacy and her soon-to-be ex-husband did, which was, set up different dates. And so they were like, well, did you talk to Michael? She was like, girl, I didn't even look at him. I think she said she was in there for almost 9 hours. I said, my God, girl. And so what she explains is that Michael basically said that I guess he might sign off on everything as long as she agrees to sign a non-disclosure agreement in perpetuity, where she will not speak about him on this show or in media or ever publicly. And Ashley doesn't want to sign it. We also find out that he gets 10 days out of the month with the children, because at first Ashley's math wasn't mathing, because when she was with the scene with her kids, she said something about she gets the kids 7 days out of the week and Michael gets them on the weekend. And I was like, 7 days out of the week, girl, that's the whole week. You mean 5 days out of the week? And then he gets them Saturday and Sunday, which would make the weekends. But Michael gets 10 days out of the month. And so she's just like, she doesn't want to sign it because she lives her authentic life. I said, girl, I don't know about that. I mean, I think a skewed version of it. She also is just like, she doesn't think that's fair, and none of the ladies think it's fair. But then Karen in her confessional was like, girl, you got a bargaining chip, which could get you more alimony, because he wants you to shut up. He wants to buy your silence. You better play the game right. And I said, well, Karen not wrong, because if I was Ashley, I definitely would have been like, if you don't want me to speak about you, you definitely gonna give me some more money to where I don't need to speak about you. Because honestly, I feel like Ashley only speaks about Michael because that is a part of her storyline, but it's like, maybe she feels like that's the only way she can stay relevant on this show. The same way I feel like Lisa from Real Housewives of Miami was always bringing up Lenny. Like, yes, it was fresh what he did to her, but I'm glad the divorce is final and she'll have to like forcibly pivot to something else, because we don't really care, Ashley, at this point, because you've been getting a divorce, I want to say since season like 6, maybe 7. No, I think 6. So it's been like 3 years, girl. We don't care. The thing we have is of Raven and Karen doing a paid sponsorship for this restaurant called Mita. We end up seeing the owner, Miguel, who's also the chef. It had a nice ambiance, but I feel like the restaurant will be successful. In the DMV area, you would be surprised, like, how many, like, I don't know how to, like, Spain restaurants that are like Spanish inspired, or like they're giving you like authentic like Spanish but like Spain version Spanish food there. I don't know how else to say it, because it's not Mexican food or like Peruvian or Colombian food, but it's legit from the country Spain, that they'll give you food like that. And that's kind of the vibe that this restaurant gave me. So I was like, it's probably doing well. But you could definitely tell that the restaurant paid to be on Real Housewives of Potomac, because I was like, there's nobody in the restaurant. You got the waiters just standing there offering them, like, you know, house wine or whatever. Then the owner keeps coming out to explain each dish. Yeah. I mean, I hope he got his money's worth. I really do. So this was like another scene to like have the audience be like sympathetic towards Karen, because they're talking about the accident. Raven's talking about how strong her mom is and how she's the opposite. Like, girl, I cry at the drop of a hat, but it's a release. And how, you know, she loves how, you know, strong her mom is, but she needs to let things go. Karen talks about like, that's the only thing that came out of the accident, was she realizes she needs to take better care of herself and learn how to release things. We found out that Raven's doing really well with her job in like marketing. She's working with Amazon now. Has this like contract with Amazon Live, which I think that's wonderful. And Karen was like, you got a man, you dating? And Raven was like, girl, it's spooky out here, and if I had somebody, you know, I am dating, but they ain't of value. If I wanted you to know about him, you would know about him. And I thought that was real, because that's the truth. But it's just nice to see the kids, like, especially when we see them grow up. I think when we were introduced to Raven, like, she was in high school, and then we saw her go to college, because I remember her explaining to her mom about like the sorority that she joined, and then now she graduated and she's living in New York, and it seems like living her best life. I always enjoy seeing that with the kids. So we get off of that scene. Oh, before then, Karen got a new confessional as well, just like Stacey. I like this confessional, but if I had to rank, her blue is the best one out of all 3. This one I put at the bottom, and the one where she's in the gray or the white top. This, to me, I like the top. I like the green with the embellishment, but I don't like the shoulders. Maybe if the sleeves were a little shorter, and I think the hair needed to be different. Like, I love me a slick back ponytail with a little tendril. See, I got my tendrils out. But I'm just like, the hair is throwing me off. But I do think the color green looks great on her skin. The same way with Stacey, that like oranges red look great on her skin. It's just like something's missing. We got to tweak it a little bit. But yeah, so let's is the next scene. Honestly, I don't know why Jacqueline is friends with Mia unless she just has a humiliation kink. I don't know. Because we got Mia basically doing charity work by gifting Jacqueline a whole new wardrobe or pretending to be the lady sugar mama. Jacqueline walked in the boutique that Mia is in. Mia was already shading Jacqueline before she got into the boutique because she was telling the sales associate about how crappy her style was. Jacqueline walks in there with the coconut head wig, and if you know what that reference, you a real one. But if you didn't know, if you watch Ned Stay Classified, that's who I'm talking about. That just up here, Bob up here, just up here. And Jacqueline was like, oh my gosh, are you gifting me a new wardrobe? Oh my gosh, are you trying to be my sugar mama? She said, you know, I would kiss you in the mouth if she wasn't here. And I said, Jacqueline, this is why people think you guys are swingers or kissing lesbians. Like, it's giving very much like when Gordon couldn't get it up, Mia would call you. And when PP, aka Patrick, wasn't giving you what you needed, Mia would get you off. Because y'all be making these sexual innuendos and then acting like everybody else is crazy when they pick up on them. Y'all are weirdos. That's just what it is. I just don't get why Jacqueline is friends with Mia. Because it seems like at every turn Mia takes her like a chance to like throw a dig at her. Because Mia ends up saying that Jacqueline's style is starting to be reminiscent of Giselle's style and how they should be friends because of how bad their style is. Then she's in the confessional saying that, you know, Jacqueline grew up on a farm. She was running barefoot through fields and around horses. And I'm like, well, didn't you say you and Jacqueline grew up and y'all were like 15 when y'all first met? Like, I'm so confused, Mia. And so the first outfit Jacqueline tries on, it wasn't flattering. Neither outfit was really flattering, but the first one wasn't nice. It didn't compliment her body. The second one wasn't cute either, and the wig just made it look worse. I thought the iridescent skirt was cute, but the top was ugly. And I hope that lady who was styling her did not style her. I hope she just let them pick a few things and went up into the to the thing. And so they sit down to have a conversation. Mia ends up asking Jacqueline, so how are you doing with Patrick, aka PP? And Jacqueline's like, we're doing good. Like, we're trying to rebuild and like forgive each other and trust each other again because we don't really have that much trust. And so Mia's like, well, you've been doing it for the past 13 years. And so Jacqueline returns the pivot and she's like, well, girl, Ink's been around for longer than that. And you two finally, y'all been doing this for the last couple of years. And whenever Jacqueline comes back at Mia always has this scrunched up look face like, how dare you? And I forgot to mention this, but when they were at the table and they all like broke apart to watch Wendy get her citation from the mayor, Mia ends up telling Jacqueline, go away from me, Jacqueline. You never defend me. And I'm like, she did stand up and defend you. You're just mad that it just didn't work. It's like Jacqueline has to have like a humiliation kink. She just does because that lady treats you like garbage and you're okay with it. You be in her comments like fiending like a dog for a treat to have her praise you. And that's so weird to me. And it's starting to feel like, girl, you might be in love with your best friend, but she treats you like garbage, bro. Garbage. So while they're sitting there, Mia starts talking about Ink and his mental state, and Jacqueline saying how like, yeah, I just think that you and Ink and Gordon need to take a pause and you need to settle what you got with Gordon first before you continue with Ink. So then Mia ends up saying like she didn't like the fact that Giselle was questioning her about the relationship and what she posts online. She also says she didn't like the fact that her and Karen were questioning her motherhood, and she's like, who are they to question me? So then what's her name? Jacqueline ends up saying, I think Giselle is just mad that you got 4 or 5 guys that are checking for you and she don't got none. And I said, girl, that's not a flex either, because Mia's been online just boasting about how Ink is her one true love and like the man that she's been waiting for. But Jacqueline is making it seem like, girl, you still in these streets running amok, trying to get your hit from any man that's going to give you a lick. And you lying. So is Jacqueline, was that just Jacqueline's bad way of trying to shade Giselle, or is she telling the truth? You out here in these streets still. A scene we have is this event that Ashley is like a part of, like this huge event by this organization. Can't remember the name, but the event is called Over the Edge, and Ashley was partnering with this event by raising at least $1,000 in order to like propel down the side of a bill that would contribute to this program that helps with the houseless population in the DMV area. So she says that this event and this organization is near and dear to her heart because she was almost homeless due to her mama. Okay, out here running after a man. And had her grandmother not stepped in and allowed her and her mom to stay with her, they would have been on the streets. So we see that she texted all of the ladies to come to the event. It was Karen's response that tickled me because Ashley goes, I'll be climbing down a building for charity on Saturday. I love to have all my ladies there to support. And so Wendy's like, I'll be there with my kids. Giselle's like, okay, a building? For real? Karen said, you don't have to do all of that, Ashley. I'll just send a check. Karen said, girl, your life means more. Kiana was also invited, but she ends up telling Ashley she won't be able to attend. We also don't see Jazzy. We end up seeing Karen, Stacy with her daughter Arabella. Giselle gets there, and what's her name? Wendy gets there as well, and she brings all three of her kids. They're all embracing each other, and then Mia gets there. Mia hugs everybody, and she tells Giselle, I'm gonna hug you for now, but we need to talk. Giselle is like, girl, what did I do? Karen is looking at her like, what you do? She said, girl, I don't know. What did I do? And Giselle's like, girl, I ain't do nothing to you. Like, what's up now? Ashley to propel down the building. The cutest scene out of all of this was Arabella and Cam, Wendy and Stacy's daughter. The way that Arabella was like holding Cam's hand and walking around, they had like booths set up for people to do, and I just thought that was sweet. It gave very much like big sister, little sister vibes, and you could tell that Arabella was taking her job seriously for watching over little Cam. So I thought that was cute. We see Dylan and Dean get there with their nanny, and then the girls sit down on these seats and they watch Ashley propel. Ashley is nervous. She's not afraid of heights, but leaning off the side of a building gives you a different vibe. Not gonna lie, I feel the same way. That's how I feel when I go zip lining. Legs be shaking, but I'm not afraid of heights. So she does it. I thought she slipped at one point. You got Karen on the ground praying in her red bottoms. I think Giselle was like, Karen, I thought you said you don't use your knees anymore. They do a flashback when Karen was like, I retired my mouth. I don't do none of that like that. So you got Ashley propelling down the building, talking about how, I'm taking back my power. Basically her swan song, or her, like a phoenix, I'm rising from the ashes type thing. And it's just like, Ashley, it don't hit no more. Maybe if you would have said this like season 7, but like you've been getting a divorce from Michael since like we all knew there was trouble in paradise since like season 5. And now we're here at season 9 and it's like we don't really care, I mean, I hope she comes out good in her divorce, but I also feel like it doesn't make sense why it feels like there's no progression with Ashley when it comes to like her status. Like everybody else has made business ventures beyond this show. And I know there's a rumor that Ashley has this yoga studio, but I've never seen anybody produce like factual proof that it actually exists. But it's like if you look at Karen, she has LaDom, the perfume, the candles. She has that partnership with RPG show wigs. She's fine. Then you have Robin and Giselle. They have Reasonably Shady. Giselle's been in like Wendy's commercials, Clorox commercials, and Bravo be using Giselle in all their promos, so she definitely getting paid for that. You then got Robin who did the embezzled, the embellished hats, and then you have her opening up that 360 like health spa, and it's like they have things beyond the show, but what does Ashley have other than that Airbnb she got with Michael? It's just like there's really no progression. And honestly, after this season, Ashley could definitely go, because I don't think anybody cares to hear any more about how hard it is for her to be a single mom, even though she has a nanny and Michael seems to be a participant in his children's lives. It don't hit the way I think Ashley thinks it hits anymore. And she's not really giving us anything, to be honest. Like, she really serves no purpose this season, in my opinion. So she safely makes it down the building, and her kids run up to her. She strikes the superhero pose, and then she leaves to go take off all her gear. We then see the sit down between Giselle and Mia. So Mia's like, Giselle, we need to talk. And Giselle's like, okay, cool, what do you want to talk to me about? So Mia's like, girl, I didn't like the way that you confronted me in front of everybody about the IG post. You definitely could have pulled Mia to the side if you really cared about what was going on with me and my household. And Giselle is kind of looking at her like, girl, I wasn't like trying to embarrass you or shame you. I was just trying to gain understanding, because a week ago you was crying at my event talking about how badly Gordon has been treating you and what he said to you. But then when I get on the internet, it's kumbaya and we a family and everything's okay. So then Mia's like, well, Giselle, we all don't post like our bad moments, including you. You always just posting how perfect your family is. Like, you do the same thing I do. Like, you're just posting how perfect your daughters is. And Giselle's like, I never said my daughters were perfect. So let's not really go there. So then you end up seeing, I think, Wendy and Karen get there and they sit beside the ladies. So then Mia ends up being like, you didn't post about how your children had you didn't post about the bad things about your kids. Like, you didn't post how the girls invited a boy over to the house while we were in the DR last year. And you told me that, but I never brought it to the show. And Giselle kind of looked at her. Wendy made a face where she was like, ooh. And then Karen was like, we should not go down that road. We should not go down that road. And Karen is like, kids are off limits. Now, there was discourse online where they were like, is kids really off limits? Because people brought up the whole thing with Monique's kid and all of that stuff. I didn't really care about that. But I feel like there was no correlation or reason for Mia to bring up Giselle's daughters. Like, in my mind, like, if you wanted to make, because I think Mia was trying to make the point that everyone only posts the good moments in their life. They don't post the negative moments unless they really want to. And you do the same. But to say that Giselle's daughter's trying to sneak a boy over, or that she saw this boy on the Ring camera, is equivalent to you being in your 40s and your life being in shambles, that's not the same. Like Karen said, I think Mia is struggling and having a hard time and stressed out about keeping her pimp village together, that she done lost her mind. Because I was like, that didn't make sense, Mia. I got what she was trying to do, but like, she missed the point, because you can't compare 18-year-olds doing what 18-year-olds would do. My mom and dad are not at the house. I'm going to sneak a boy over to come hang out and kick it with me. It's not the same as you, a 40-year-old woman who is still married to her husband, that she keeps screaming about being manic and his bipolarism, while dating a man that you have known since you were in high school, that you've been having an affair with for the past 10 years, trying to blend your family, and you're not divorced yet. So Giselle and her kind of taper the conversation, where Giselle was like, okay, I received what you're saying. Mia was like, I'm just trying to let you know, I'm going to check you when you need to be checked. And Giselle's like, okay, I got it. But then in the confessional, Mia's like, I just need Giselle to know, like, I can do this with her anytime and any day. And then you have Giselle saying in her confessional, like, I received it. Now I'm processing it, and I'm going to react. And I will say, Giselle, I was disappointed, because all that fever you was giving Candace and Wendy last season, when you thought that they were making like odd looks and faces when you were talking about your daughters, and they never brought up your child or your children the same way Mia just did, girl, you better have the same energy for her the way you had for them. Like, I want scorched earth type of energy, okay? The way you was giving Candace and Wendy your ass to kiss, you better give it to Mia. I don't really have a big gripe about Mia bringing up Giselle's daughters, because, I feel like Karen and Giselle kind of opened that door up the first episode by telling Mia she's not protecting her kids, which I agree with. But it's like, if you can question someone's mothering, then you have to be prepared for them to question yours. I just don't think that Mia is prepared for what Giselle about to give her. That's why it now starting to make sense why Giselle said in that mid-season trailer, you're a bad mom. And she said it with such like matter-of-factness. I said, ooh, Giselle gonna be nasty towards you. And I really don't think Mia is prepared. But the theory that I have, I really think is going to happen at the reunion. I think that they are gonna make Mia feel so bad, she gonna walk off that stage crying, or she's going to have a breakdown in the dressing room, either before she get on stage or after, like, they do a break after they do her segment, because I feel like they gonna give her the business. But I think it was nice that they put in memory of Matthew, who I told you guys in the last Spicy Corner that passed away. I think that was sweet that they acknowledged him, because I would have felt some type of way if they didn't acknowledge him, because we saw him in like 3 or 4 seasons. Like, so please acknowledge the people that helped your show. I mean, I don't know if he helped, but he was a contributor to the show. That's a better word. But yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. And as always, remember to be bravely authentic. Definitely hop down in the comments below and give me a thumbs up or a like if you like what you heard. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.